Hello and welcome to this webinar about the School of Architecture and Built Environment. We are sending live from the 5th floor studios at the Architectural Building on KTH main campus. Please feel free to submit your questions during the webinar, and the presenters will answer as many of them as possible at the end of the presentation. Okay, let's get started. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Kjartan Gudmundsson. I'm an associate professor at the school, but also the director of education. I do a lot of teaching in several courses, including building physics, architectural engineering, building technology, and so on. And this is pretty much reflected in my research. I'm doing research on different scales. I'm looking at what's happened in materials regarding energy and heat transport, but also on whole building systems. Looking at what happens in a community, the sustainability dimension, if you like, the economical, the environmental, and the social dimension is very important to all our work. I have with me two students from our programs.
Hello everybody, my name is Eudoxia and I would also like to welcome you to our webinar. I am studying sustainable technology here at KTH and I originally come from Greece. I'm really excited that I got to move from Greece to Stockholm to study my passion, which is sustainability, and live in a great city such as Stockholm.
Third and final welcome. My name is Nicholas Smart. I'm a student in the Sustainable Urban Planning and Design program. I come from Houston, Texas, in the United States, and I'm really excited to be able to show you a bit about our program here.
I would like to start with just a few facts about our school. We are really concerned with the future of our societies, and that means everything that has to deal with the design and building of our future cities and houses. And this is really what not only our education, but also research is all about. We are one of 5 schools at KTH. We have about 3,000 students and 300 research students or PhD students, if you like. And then we have a staff of some 70 professors and other teachers. Ranking is a good subject because we're doing well, especially if you look at architecture and the built environment. We are among the top schools in the world. And this also holds for civil and structural engineering, as well as transport science and technology. Our school is pretty unique on KTH, since we work with both the natural sciences and technology, as well as with social sciences and the humanities. And we are noted for excellent contacts with research, industry, and the public sector, and have a strong tradition of contract education, as well as organized contacts with professional organizations. We have several degree programs. We can offer 8 two-year master's program and 1 one-year master program. There is a limited number of places for each program, so the admission is highly competitive. All our programs are taught in English, so we have students from all around the world. The first program I would like to tell you guys about is the architectural program, where the students develop projects that propose new ways of designing not only buildings but sustainable communities. And architecture is of course a very important tool for participating in sustainable urban development. The teaching is based on studios, and we can offer about 10 different master studios. That means that you have a great opportunity to choose between a wide range of studios that address different contemporary architectural issues. And you have the possibility to develop everything from large-scale urban strategies to full-scale manufacturing processes. We also have a one-year master's program in architectural lighting design. And this is a new approach to light and light planning, if you like. since it's a combination of visual, physical, and biologically based experience and knowledge applied to design, technology, and health. And the picture below that shows us really the work we're doing this week. This is a study from one of our professors from a new urban project in Algae in Knivsta, north of Stockholm. The picture to the left, that shows us the city scale, but the students will also be doing full-scale models of the details of the glazing and the window frames. We have a master's program in civil and architectural engineering as well. And this is really about integrating technology and societal aspects, such as environmental issues, sustainable development, and social responsibility. And in this program, you have the two different possibilities of specialization. You have civil engineering and architectural engineering. In civil engineering, you'll be looking at theories and tools for modeling and designing buildings and infrastructure. This means that you will get the skills to design foundations as well as concrete structures, wood structure, bridges, rock mechanics, and using state-of-the-art finite element tools to do so. In the architectural engineering track, it's really about integrating the different aspects of housing design. It's about integrating the issues of energy use, sustainability, building technology, and structural design. And all of this by implementing the latest digital tools and methods from the industry. We have a program in environmental engineering and sustainable infrastructure as well. And this program is transdisciplinary, if you like, since it includes courses in natural sciences and technology, as well as courses that build on social science and planning. It's all really about solving future problems concerning the environment and water issues. It's about understanding waters and ecosystems and the environmental impact of human activities. But not only understanding those issues, but also giving you a toolbox to deal with them and solve those issues. We have a program in real estate and construction management as well. And this really prepares you as a graduate for working for many different occupations related to real estate, government, and construction management. You have 3 fields of specialization in this program: construction project management, real estate development and land law, as well as building and real estate economics. And this program has a so-called RICS accreditation, meaning that it's accredited by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. We have a program in sustainable technology, and Eudoxia, you're a student in that program. Would you like to tell us more?
I am a student in that program, and I would say that the main focus of the program is understanding how industrial ecology works and how system thinking works to design more sustainable parts of the built environment. We mostly focus on the built environment and industry and not so much on architecture. We have very interesting courses such as dealing with technology and ecosystems, learning about ecological economics, the smart cities, life cycle assessment, environmental impact analysis, applied ecology. But what we take most pride in is that we are a multidisciplinary program. We have students from all kinds of backgrounds, from engineering to social sciences, to political sciences, to natural sciences. So all of that makes our program very unique.
Niklas, Sustainable Urban Planning and Design, that's your program.
Precisely. The Sustainable Urban Planning and Design program has 3 different tracks. It has urban design, regional planning, and environmental planning. Personally, I'm in the regional planning track, and what that really means is that there's kind of a package of courses that I've chosen to take. But that doesn't mean that I can take only those courses. Sometimes I've taken courses from the environmental track. In the urban design track, we even have some of students in my program that even sit in this building right here, the architectural building, and they work a lot with more of the aesthetics of sustainable urban planning. All in all, the whole program kind of looks towards bringing cities or development on track towards sustainability. And that involves a number of different actors, it involves a number of different disciplines, and it involves, even within our program, a number of different backgrounds. So we've got students from sociology, we have students from civil engineering backgrounds, that would be me. We have some students who have backgrounds in architecture, and it just goes on and on. So it's really neat to get to sit down and collaborate in our program with people who have just such backgrounds that are so different from the one that I have. So while I'm usually doing a lot of the math work in my program, we have a lot of students that take care of the design aspects. Some of them are really good with dealing with the wicked aspect of urban planning, which is the aspects that involve human stakeholders, so people. And some people are really good at that. I learn a lot from them, and it's a really enriching program, I think. So I'm really fortunate to be part of this program, and it's a lot of work too. It keeps me busy, but that doesn't mean there's not time for free time as well.
So what are you telling us, that we really have a lot of electives
yeah,
in
that's
the
right.
programs, and that holds really for all our programs, I would say.
It does. It's also true for my program. You're free to choose a lot of courses, not only from your own program, but you can, depending if the interests collide, you can also choose from outside your program and make your own master's program more flexible and more interesting to you personally.
And this diversity and meeting other people in your studies, I guess you guys are doing a lot of project work.
Absolutely, yeah. Right now I'm working with a lot of GIS, geoinformation systems, for some of us don't know what that is. And that's just a lot of computer work, really. But I'm taking a class on GIS right now. I remember when I was starting the program, that was one thing I really wanted to do. And a lot of my classmates were kind of worried that they wouldn't get access to different kind of programs and things like that. But I'm doing a lot of project work that does have GIS in it, and I think that's one thing I mean to say that I've taken away from the program.
Yeah, I would say project work sometimes, even though it's a really hard part because you have to collaborate with people from varied backgrounds, and sometimes you get to know these people really well, and you can create even your fondest memories with these people, because you start maybe with a group of strangers when you first enter the program, and by the end of it, they become some of your closest friends because you went to battle together to complete all these projects. And for me, a really exciting project right now is working with life cycle assessment, which is, again, we're being taught a specific program, but also you get to do your own research on a topic that interests you. So it's a really cool part of the master's programs here.
Really well said. I think I just might add one thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
One of the projects I'm working on happens to be with a city outside of Stockholm. So we're based in Stockholm in the urban planning program. We get lots of experience working with other Swedish cities. So it's not so Stockholm-centric. We're working with the city of Norrtälje, for example, which is just north of Stockholm.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to the programs. We have this program in transport and geoinformation technology that really touches what you were mentioning, Niklas, about geographic information systems. This program is really crucial in the sense that the transition to zero emission transport is one of the greatest challenges of our generations, if you like. And you could say that this program has two tracks. One of the main tracks is transport science. That's really dealing with analysis, understanding the traffic flows, as well as the economical aspects of the whole thing. And the cool thing about the educational research at this department is that the researchers, the teachers, have really contributed to solving the traffic situation in Stockholm. What they did is that they put transponders on taxis driving around in Stockholm, and from the analysis of that data, they could come up with a suggestion of a congestion pricing model, if you like, so that you have to pay when you enter the city at certain hours.
Wow.
And by and by coming up with an economical model for this, the problem, you could say, the problem is more or less solved. And then we have the geoinformation technology, what you were just mentioning, and that's really about gathering data, sharing data, and then of course you have to organize the data. And the picture you can see there, that's really about data capture, if you like. This is from a course in GIS and laser scanning, where the student used a drone to scan the building on the top right in the picture. And the pictures below, they used more traditional laser scanning techniques to really scan this building on our campus. And speaking of innovation, we have there's a lot happening. We're constantly developing our programs. And the latest program that has been added to our palette, if you like, is the Transport, Mobility and Innovation Program. This is a joint program, and this means that you will be studying 1 year at KTH and 1 year at another university. And the start of this program is in autumn 2020. You can find more on the internet. But it's nice to be able to tell that our education has really strong connection with research. For instance, our bridge department, they've been monitoring bridges all around Sweden. So what they're doing is they're using real-time data, and they are analyzing the data with conventional methods as well as artificial intelligence. And they're using the analytical work to determine the necessary renewals, refurbishments of those bridges. And this is supposed to increase the lifetime of those structures by 10 or perhaps 20 years. There are different means of gathering that data. One fun fact about this is that the bridge can actually tweet. So there's a Twitter for that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is something that you know a lot about, Eudoxia, about the water center and innovation for the blue planet. What do we mean by the blue planet or the blue economy? How would you?
Yes, so one of the main projects that our master students get to work with is working with algae. Because Sweden has a special sensitivity caring about eutrophication because it's so close to the Baltic Sea that suffers from eutrophication. So a few years back, there was this brilliant idea of using algae to combat eutrophication in polluted waters. So now they have managed to grow algae and actually be able to use it to make various materials, make fertilizers, use it for energy. It has become such a cool material that also helps with sustainability.
So from being a problem, it's become a resource.
Yes, exactly. It has become a resource, and it also has started to have interesting economic value and start to take a share in the market. So that's really cool. It started as a research project here, and now it's an actual product that it's sustainable, but it's also, making money.
Yeah, exactly. And one more research project I would like to tell you all about is the collaboration with MIT. And that's really about the sensible city. It's about placing sensors in the city to harvest data, to be able to understand our city, how people move, how the city develops time-wise. And why are we interesting? Because we want to make our cities as livable as possible.
It's incredible.
It's really important.
Sensors in the city.
And another interesting feature in Stockholm is that there's a thriving economy in Stockholm. And you could say that it both thrives and is driven by the huge projects, such as our infrastructure projects. We have several projects that are where the budget is in billions of Swedish crown. And we won't go through them there, but it's about car traffic as well as high-speed railways and so on. Mm-hmm.
They're really interesting because graduates from our programs could get to work on these large infrastructure projects happening in Stockholm.
Yeah, that's true, because it's really about interdisciplinary teams, if you like, in those projects. We know that our students, they meet at school, but they will meet again in those projects, because you need so many different competencies. And what about life after studies? Career?
That's right. I think we both
coming
have
around.
been, yes, we are in our second year, both of us. So we're both are thinking about our careers now. What about you, Niklas?
What would I like to do?
Yes.
Jeez. You know what? If I could pick one thing that would make me so happy, it would be to be a comprehensive planner at the City of Stockholm.
Wow.
I think
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
That's a cool job.
Yeah.
For sure. I would also, like, coming to KTH, I had great expectations, to be honest, but it has superseded my expectations. So I'm now being inspired to maybe continue with research and become a PhD researcher, hopefully somewhere in Stockholm, because I also love the city. So we'll see.
That's a good point you make, because a lot of our students actually become researchers, because we have huge opportunities in contact, theoretical research, as well as work in connection with the municipalities such as Stockholm, but also the industry.
Yeah, so many, even though maybe it's not our choice, but many of our classmates actually get to do their master thesis with various companies, and it often also can lead them to choose a career in those fields, choose careers in the industry, because you have that access, you have the access to work with them even when you're studying.
Yeah, they say that if you're a student at KTH and you get a chance to work with one of these companies, that you're basically a shoo-in. It's the best way to get a job
It's a great
afterward.
opportunity, yeah.
But you have some pictures to
Yes,
show us,
so
the story to
maybe-
tell.
Yeah, so I think everybody's story of coming to KTH is unique, and maybe a little bit about my story. I come from Greece, which is a very sunny place, and everybody here keeps asking me, why did you leave the beaches to come to Stockholm? And for me, you get to see some pictures of where I used to live and where I live now. And I do come from beaches, which are lovely, but when it gets cold in the winter and you see all the snow, it can be magical. So you can see near my house what it looks like when it's really dark during the winter. But then you can also get to see that I get to now live near the forest, and you also get to see what student housing looks like. I guess my aesthetic of student housing, but still, this is what the student housing rooms look like here in Sweden. And then maybe some of the activities you can get involved with, not just studying. For example, I am very involved with a project called KTH Students for Sustainability. And you can see in one of the pictures our participation in Student Union Day. You can find many activities for everybody, from sports to arts to, I guess, sustainability in that day, and get informed and get involved. We also made some there are lunch lecture seminars here. Lunch lectures, you get to have contact with people from various companies that have an expertise and come talk to you, and you get to see one of our classrooms here and one of the lectures we organized. But then you also have access to nature. You can see in the picture in the middle an excursion to the archipelago here in Stockholm. You can see that people are very passionate about the climate here also. So this was us participating in the climate strike. And one of my favorite things in Sweden that I'm sure Nicholas will also talk about is fika. It is taking a break to have coffee and also have some sweets. And here is my favorite sweet, Swedish sweet, the semla, which is a bun that has cream in it and also almond paste, which is so cool, but it's also only available for a limited time throughout the year. So you have to come here, not for vacation, you have to live here the entire time to get to taste this.
That's true.
Yeah. So what about your everyday life?
Well, you actually had a picture of the climate strike, and I was actually also there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, really, when you're there, you really feel like you're in the middle of progress towards sustainability, and you really feel like you're in the middle of, Sweden, in the middle of society. And that's one of the reasons I moved to Sweden. I really wanted to feel like I was in the Swedish culture. I was a part of a bigger movement.
Exactly.
And yeah, so that's why I'm here. Originally, I'm from Phoenix, I was actually from Houston in Texas, but this is a picture of me in Phoenix, Arizona, because that's where I moved here from, and that's where my family lives. I was on a hike out in the Sonoran Desert. You can see there are cacti there, the massive saguaros that you see, kind of the iconic Southwest U.S. And I can tell you what, that contrasts a great deal to what you see here in Sweden, right?
Yeah.
You definitely get rain, you definitely get snow, all sorts of precipitation. You get the 4 seasons. You don't really get that in Phoenix. But I really do like it here in Stockholm. I like that you get to see the seasons changing. Here's a picture outside of my student apartment. You can see, actually, if you look in the center top picture, that little piece of building right there that's still in the sunlight, that was my building. And it's just a stone's throw away from where we're live streaming right now. So I had the opportunity to live on campus. It was an absolute experience. I met a whole bunch of international students around there, made some great friends from my neighbors. And you can see inside of my apartment. The picture in the bottom middle and then the bottom right are the student housing in Stockholm's campus. It was more than what I expected. Coming from the US as a student, you share one room with one other student and you don't even have a kitchen in many cases. And here it's like, as an international student, first of all, I was guaranteed housing for my first year, which was great, or my first 11 months, I should say. And I was able to stay with 2 different wonderful roommates, both from very different backgrounds, and that was great. But we had a kitchen, we had our own fridge, we had our own, we even were able to buy a sofa online secondhand.
Yes.
And that was wonderful. And you can see my plant collection there. The last picture in this slide is a picture of me with a couple of classmates, 2 lovely friends. We had just finished a project on one of the small towns south of Stockholm. And we were trying to solve an issue on sustainability because the population was actually shrinking there. But we were celebrating at the end of that. And it just goes to show you do have time to do other things other than studies.
Yes, for sure.
After that, here are a few more pictures about me. In the top left corner, that's a picture of where I work. I work at the Botanical Gardens north of Stockholm. It's a massive greenhouse with all this tropical greenery. Lovely place. It's just a stone's throw away from campus, 1 station north of us. And in the middle of the winter, it's the coziest place to hang out and grab a cup of tea, grab some fika.
I've been there many times.
Have you been there? Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's great.
Yeah. And it's perfect,
Yeah.
Bottom left is a picture of some chanterelles that me and my partner picked at his summer house just north of Stockholm. We hit the jackpot, and that was this past fall. In the middle is a picture of me and my partner. We're in Södermalm, just enjoying the city. He's actually in the same program as me, so you do make great friends in your program. In the top right, there's a picture of some Swedish cinnamon rolls. I can tell you what, that's a really important part of Swedish culture here.
Yes.
We made those homemade. We love to cook, and that was in our student apartment, so we had time for that. And finally, the last picture is what you do when you don't have furniture and you need furniture as a student. Well, you buy it online secondhand, you go pick it up, and then you tape it or you tie it to the back of your bike, and then you bike 20 minutes back to campus and unload it there. Yeah, there's some pictures of my life.
That's great.
Other students here.
Yeah, there are other students here, not just us. We are actually student ambassadors. So me for sustainable technology and
for sustainable urban planning and design.
Exactly. So if you're interested on contacting us, there are forms on the site, but there are also forms on the site for every single master's program offered here at Architecture and the Built Environment School. So you get to ask people, what is life like? What is your program like? What is Stockholm like all these questions. We have some experience after living here for a while, so we can help you with that.
Oh yeah, there are a whole bunch of us. You can see we've got 1 person from each program. So if you're interested in architecture, we have one of our friends is Marie. She can answer questions there. Real estate and construction management, you name it, right? If you want to know about social media, we're on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, and we're even on a lot of Chinese social media.
So you can follow us from everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
If we move on to the next slide, here's some information on how you can apply.
Yeah, applying to KTH. There's some important things to know as a potential student that you need to have fulfilled to get accepted into our university. You need a bachelor's degree that's equivalent to a Swedish bachelor's degree. You need English proficiency, for example, with test scores from TOEFL that are equivalent to 90, or IELTS academics score of 6.5. And there are other ways to fulfill that requirement. You can find that online. Then we have some program-specific requirements that you can also find on KTH's website. I know, for example, that in my program, some students had to submit a portfolio of their previous academic works. So you can find that information on your program website. After that, there are some fees for some students. If you live in the EU or a Swiss citizen, you're generally required to not required. Oh, if you're not living in the EU, you're required to pay application fees and then tuition fees. The application fee is 900 crowns, which is about $100 US, and then the tuition fees for most of your programs are about 310,000 Swedish crowns, and that depends on your program. So you just have to go online and check it out. After that, there are plenty of scholarship opportunities. KTH has the KTH scholarship. I think it offers to about 30 students every year. There's the Swedish Institute scholarship, which is open to students applying to programs across Sweden. So it's not just KTH. And then there are plenty of external scholarships. So, really just get your fingers out there on the internet and find out what there is for you. But check our website.
Yeah, but those are the formalities. But when you've made your choice, you found your program, how do you go about doing that then?
Yeah, it's really important to know how you can apply. So we have 50 programs overall in the school. So we are sure you can find an interesting one that suits you. So first, choose your program. Then you have to submit your application by January 15th, 2020. And after that, if you're interested in a scholarship, you can also apply for a scholarship. But you have to remember that all the required documentation has to be submitted by February 3rd. These are very important dates. You also need to have paid your application fee, if you need to pay that fee, again, by February 3rd. And finally, in April 3rd, you will get to know if you can join us next year and be here on campus at KTH.
All right, that's about it.
Yeah.
Concerning the presentation, but I hopefully we have some questions from our audience, if you like.
Hopefully so.
Question time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We do have received a few questions.
Nice.
And the first one is it possible to study elective courses in the first year?
Well,
Well, the general answer to that question would be yes, but the programs are different, are a bit different. So that I would really encourage you to look at it for each program.
I can say from my experience that you are able to take elective courses. We have a couple of students in my program that take courses, even found some courses online. But you're right, it does depend on your program.
yes, so advice, check your program's requirements. You can see all the courses and all the requirements on the program's webpage. But again, based on our experience, you get to have elective courses. I also had elective courses in the first year. Yeah.
Yeah, any more questions?
Yes, next question. Which are some of the companies or institutions that come to KTH for jobs or recruiting engineers?
Wow, lots of companies. I've had companies calling from Ireland and across the Atlantic, if you like, that have been begging really to meet our students to arrange some interviews. So obviously we're trying to accommodate that. But we also have the Swedish companies. They're really, our problem is really to keep the interest of the students for the very last days or weeks of school because they are so concerned with all the job opportunities and all the job proposals from the industry that it's really a bit of a problem if I may complain.
There are many chances to meet companies here at KTH. First of all, Sweden does have many big name companies anyway, and they do come. Like I have colleagues that are now doing their master thesis in Scania, which is an a very big company. But students also organize fairs. There are career fairs here at KTH where all the big companies come and small companies. And we have a big one. THS Armada does organize a whole week. I think it's going on right now or next week, where many companies come and you can talk to them. They come recruiting. We have the Lava one, which is more about the...
I actually worked at that career fair.
Great.
Yeah, it's every spring. It's an amazing opportunity. As a student, you can get a chance to be what they call a host for a company. So I was able to be a host for the municipality of Nacka, and I was able to help them up with their stand at the career fair, set up. I met some contacts, and it was a wonderful opportunity. I think we had over 270 different companies or institutions that came in looking for students, really, you know?
Yeah.
There was a lot to see.
There's a lot to see. It's difficult to choose one because literally all the big companies that have offices here in Sweden will come to KTH and will want to meet the students, either with lunch lectures, like Northvolt, a big battery company, huge here in Sweden. There are so many, like I cannot decide on one specific one. Anything else?
Yeah. Any more questions?
We have a lot more questions. Is it mandatory attendance to the courses?
I guess many students would be interested in that. It really depends on your course. So I would say mostly seminars or if you have laboratories on something, those are usually mandatory. And some courses do have mandatory lectures as well. But it really depends on the course. And if you go to the specific course that you're interested in, you can see if they have mandatory attendance or not.
Right. Yeah, sometimes there are minimums. Sometimes they say you need to show up to 80% of lectures. It depends on your course.
It really depends.
It depends on the format of the course, really. But also we have a very well-developed learning management system, if you like. So you get all the information on this web tool, if you like.
Yes.
So we are pretty good at providing information about the activities. But as Niklas said, it's up to 80% mandatory attendance.
Yeah, I would say the attendance is not the bulk of the work. The bulk of the work is then on your own with your team working on the project. That's where you spend most of your time, not actually just going to class. You get to have more creative ways of learning, not just following the class.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can say personally from the beginning, we had lots of classes where you wanted to show up because you wanted to learn.
Exactly.
You wanted to be involved. You wanted to hang out with your friends, really, in your classes. So there was a lot of meeting in the beginning, and now that we've progressed as a program together in the second year, it's a lot more project work. So we're spending a lot more time independently collecting data out in the field, visiting these municipalities that we're studying, talking to people, and so it's a less attendance.
Yeah. So it varies.
Yeah.
Next question?
Yes.
Here's a question about commuting transport. How much does a commute transport ticket cost in Stockholm? Is there any student discount?
That's a very valid question. First of all, let me say that it takes you everywhere. So once you buy the ticket or you buy your monthly card, you can take every means of transport available here in Stockholm. So that makes
even the ferries.
Even the ferries are included, yeah. Which is
out
astonishing.
to the archipelago.
Yeah, it is really, many types of trains, buses, the ferry. So it is a bit pricey, maybe. I think I think it's
Depends on the ticket you buy.
40. I think for a single ticket it's 45 Swedish crowns for a single ticket, and then the student discount is 31 crowns for the student discount. But I would say most people have monthly cards, which makes there are a lot bigger discounts on that.
Right.
And I'm hard pressed to remember how much my card costs right now.
But you can find out how much that costs if you're curious by
Yes.
going to SL's website. That's
Yes.
that's the Transportation Authority here in our county.
It's something in the range of 50 to 60 euros per month, I reckon.
Yes, for the students, yes.
Obviously, I'm paying full price ticket, so.
Yeah, the students, that's
We'll be there.
correct.
We'll be there soon too.
And you're living on campus, Nicholas, so.
I didn't even need one. Yeah, just walked.
So,
Okay. Is it allowed to work while studying at KTH? Nicholas mentioned that he was working.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. You can work. I know, for example, that with my I want to say the word is visa. I forget the correct word. With my permissions in Sweden, I actually have the right to have a part-time job on the side. So I worked at this cafe, which is actually a greenhouse cafe, which is one of the city
it's
that
a really
Doxy
cool
loves.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, I really love that place.
So you have time to work. Yeah, the answer is yes.
You do have the right to work. I am an EU student, so we also have the right to work here. But again, please check with your permit depending on the country you come from.
Right.
But as far as having a part-time job along with your studies, it is doable. Not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but it can be done. I also work from home. I work remotely, work online. So I spend some time doing that. But please be careful because you need to be able to know the language in order to have a good job. It's not so easy to find a job just with English. It is possible, but it's not the most common thing, I would say.
yeah.
Okay.
We have a question regarding the language. As you were talking about, Sidoxia, how important is it to learn Swedish if you want to study and find a job after graduation?
Well, it is important. You get to spend 2 years here, and that gives you an opportunity. Both there are ways through school to learn Swedish, but there are also ways through SFI, which is Swedish for immigrants, which is for free in your municipality. So for me, I have spent some time trying to learn Swedish. It's not great yet, but it is an important aspect. Not that you, as an engineer, there aren't spots available in English, but again, it's easier if you know the language, of course.
From my experience, I would say it's not important. You don't need a language while you're studying at KTH because it's in English.
Yes, not for
you don't
your
need
studies.
the language to make friends.
No.
Plenty of Swedes speak English.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Even the grandmothers and grandfathers
Exactly.
speak English.
Everybody.
But I'll tell you what, it's worth it to learn Swedish. You know, if you're here, why not? It's a beautiful language. You do meet lots more friends that way because there are some people who don't speak English as well, and they'll be glad. You know, Swedes love to help you learn Swedish too.
That is so true. They are so excited. Like Swedish people are so excited when you start learning your first few phrases and you get to talk to them. They're really happy and really eager to help you improve, for sure.
Yeah. So you end up in Sweden, delve into the culture. You know, you never know where it'll take you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Another question, does the program involve most individual work or group work?
Well, it depends on I would say it depends on the program, but in my experience, you have mostly group work to do. Sometimes individual work, but group work is essential, I think, in the core of KTH and in the core of engineering, because you need to learn how to collaborate with people in order to complete a project anyway in real life. So I think it is a key aspect of the education here to learn to work with other people. So for all the courses I've taken, there is group work. There isn't one that we don't have to work in groups. But again, you do have to do some individual studying as well.
That's right. Same thing in my experience. And some of my classes you're going to form groups in urban planning program, but you might have an individual assignment within that group that you turn in to reflect the work that you've done. in case some people are afraid of groups. But then if you're also afraid of working individually, you also have the opportunity to learn from your friends, to strengthen the product of what you're doing in your class.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mixed basket.
And it varies really with your choice of courses, if you like.
That's right.
Yes.
A lot of the theory courses, I would say, are more, from our program, a bit more individual, I think.
Again, my experience has been group work for everything. So it depends on your choices, but be prepared to work in groups. You will have to encounter that for sure, at least in some courses.
Yeah.
Next question is, what happens if I fail an exam?
Oh, well, I don't know.
You're allowed to make a new attempt at finishing that course. And if you're really, really close, you will be allowed to do a complementary assignment.
Right. We have, KTH, our programs are kind of scheduled into what I would call quartermesters, from my experience. I believe they're called, oh geez, what's the term? They're terms, and then they're divided into
They're in periods. Yeah.
4 periods per year, and then from August to about mid-January, you have the first term, which is composed of 2 periods. And during each period, you're going to have an exams week, and then you have a re-exams week.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have the opportunity to pick up previous courses later on, from what I understand, if you need to take those exams later.
So if you fail, you have a chance to retake the exam. But again, it can vary from course to course what exactly is the requirement for you to pass after you have failed a course. It's not the same for all. You have the chance, but you have to check. It's in the course description, you will find that.
Question about scholarship. If KTH has any specific country scholarships?
Yeah, I could answer that. I would say that our policy is to really offer exchange studies with the best universities in the world. So the policy is really, but not only good universities, but also attractive places where you would like to travel. And then again, they have to offer courses in English. In order for us to be interested in signing an agreement. Then of course, if we have an agreement and there is a course in another language, you're free to take that one as well. But those are really the conditions. And we can offer so many good opportunities that it will take a long time to count them all up.
I think for scholarship specifically, I think there is a KTH India scholarship. That is very popular, I think. But since I am an EU student, I didn't have to take a scholarship to come to study here, so I'm not exactly sure. But you can always look from your own country for scholarships within your own country to come to KTH. It's not necessarily that KTH has country-specific scholarships, but countries do provide scholarships for their own citizens to study abroad as well.
You have KTH scholarships out there. I can tell you, you guys out there, I was on the other side of the, of the screen, and I would have never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would have been able to get the KTH scholarship. But you can do it, just to put all your best effort in there. There are things out there.
Yeah.
We have a viewer who would like to know a bit more about the architectural studio environment at KTH.
Or right here.
We are right here. Well, you can't see much, but we have been really excited because we've been seeing all the architecture students working this whole time that we've been broadcasting to you guys. And it's a beautiful place. Even though it's dark out right now, it's a really bright place for people to work. A lot of creativity all around us. There are, I'm just looking around and describing what I'm seeing.
There's a kitchen. There's a kitchen just right next to where you study.
Exactly, there is a kitchen right next to where you study. There are lockers where you can put your things. We see like mock-ups everywhere. There is definitely space for you to be creative here.
And you get your own desk.
You
That's
get your own
right.
desk.
Yeah.
Students in the urban planning track of my program have their own desk here somewhere, I believe.
Yeah. There's about 25 people in each studio, isn't there? With 2 to 4 teachers.
Yes, when you have a studio course.
Yeah.
And then you can have your individual time to study, which is where we are at right now, a studio where people come to study. It's very inspiring and creative as a space, for sure.
And you have a great view. Just right outside you can see the city.
You have a great view, and every other KTH student is very envious of you because only you can come here and have this great view, and we are only guests here today. So yeah.
Thank you. How do I get a license to work as an architect after graduation?
I really recommend that you would look at the homepage of the Association of Swedish Architects to find out. But what you basically do is you would apply to that association really, and then you have to fulfill some requirements that you can read more about on their homepage really.
Absolutely.
Great.
Thank you. Here we have a student who is applying to sustainable urban planning and design, and is wondering how hectic is the work schedule. He's been working professionally for 3 years, and he's scared of getting back to studies.
Oh, I would say at KTH, don't be afraid of it. In my experience, it's relaxed. We have, during our lectures, you have the opportunity to take lots of breaks, which is something new to me, coming from my previous academic background. You take breaks, you even have fika sometimes, and the pace is very manageable, I think. The students are really lucky here in Sweden. I think it's a great place to study, so don't worry about the rhythm of the studies, because it's something that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yes, if you've been a professional before, you don't need to worry about the pace of studies. It's very manageable.
Yeah, I can tell you, for example, this week I'm doing lots of project work, because you probably want an example. I had one Swedish class this past Wednesday, because I also take Swedish class as an elective. I didn't have classes on Monday. I didn't have classes on Tuesday. I met some people today for my project work, and I'm meeting a group tomorrow for my project work. And we're deciding that all ourselves. So right now the teachers are letting us get our work done, and we're meeting in a couple more weeks.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's why you have a lot of time to do other things as well when you study.
Yeah.
Great. Here's a question about the deadlines. What is the difference between the deadline the 15th of January and the deadline on the 3rd of February?
So you need to have started, you need to have submitted your application by January 15th in University Admissions, which is the website in which you apply. But if you need to submit supplementary documentation, so the documents to support your application, you can do that up until February 3rd.
That's right.
Yeah.
Another viewer is wondering if the master programs are taught or research-based.
Yes, they're
Both?
very much well connected to research, basically because all the teachers have background in research, each and every one of them.
Yeah.
So you will always have that research connection, really.
Some of our courses are research-based, some of it's project-based. But again, it can still be kind of research-esque, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It depends,
It depends. There are certain things that are not based in research. For example, if you need to learn methodology for something, that's not research-based. But I would say for most things you have to do your project, you have to do your research. So.
Yeah, and at the end of your studies, during that last term, that's when you're doing your master's work. And that's going to be lots of research.
Thesis,
So
yeah.
You're going to want to have that experience for the research coming up. For example, I know that I'm collaborating with 2 researchers here on campus, and we're going to be doing some work together. So that's research based in that aspect. When you get to that last, the light at the end of the tunnel, you have some research at the end.
How hard is it to get a PhD at KTH?
Well, we haven't gotten one.
We haven't got
don't
PhDs.
It depends on your field, because all the research work done at KTH is depends on funding really. So
That's right.
when the funds, where the money comes in for a certain research was to be done, then we'll be looking for people to do that work, and this will all be posted on the KTH website. So everyone is, everyone is entitled to apply, so to speak.
Yes. All
I-
the research positions are public. You get to see, and everybody has a right to apply. But it depends on when a specific project begins and funding exists for that project, and if that is something you're interested in. So again, it varies a lot. But there is a lot of research going on, and there are a lot of projects going on in KTH.
Yes.
So there are many PhD students here.
But from what I know, statistically, most PhD positions are awarded to KTH master's students. So that progression is continuous from one level to the next. Not that if you're not a master's student, you can't get a position.
You can still apply, but you might not be as well informed about
Exactly.
the content, if you like, of that work.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes. Are there academic services like tutoring available at KTH?
Yes, there is. I can say that for a fact. I know that for a bachelor's course in mathematics, I was actually a tutor working for the program, and we help students outside of class individually. For master's programs, I'm not so sure. Do you know something about that?
I don't know if there is tutoring available for specific courses, but there are services here to help you improve your writing skills or your presentation skills, things like that. And those are provided by the university. Yeah, I don't know specifically for master's students. You can always get help from your
You always
classmates.
have right. Or you always have, your professor's doors are always open.
That's true.
So if you need to go in for office hours, they're really welcoming, in my experience.
Yeah.
As far as tutoring goes, we did have the opportunity to learn one program, which was SketchUp at an SUPD program. And a professor, I guess I would call that tutoring, outside of class hours, offered to give some, a tutoring session on how you use it. And that was quite useful.
Yeah.
Another question about the student-teacher ratio. How is the interaction during the studio classes?
Yeah, I would try to answer that because I've been involved in the studio classes at the School of Architecture. It really means that the teachers are available a lot of the time, meaning that you have your inspirational lectures, you have your lectures, you have your site visits and so on, but you also have those workshops with tutoring, if you like.
Yeah. I can't speak on with that regard. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about the studios, but for sure in class you have access to your teacher all the time. Like the teachers are very open to all their students.
We have time for one more question. And it is a student who is wondering, what are some of the essential things to bring while coming to Stockholm?
Patience for the winter. I think that is be prepared to be amazed by Stockholm in many things, like the culture, the life, all those things. It's amazing, but have some patience because it's going to be something new to you, what the winter feels like if you don't come from a country near here.
Yeah, I brought long underwear with me, for example.
I did the same. I did the same. Although I have to be honest, it's the best if you buy the things that have to do with winter here, because they know
Yeah,
what
it's
you
all
need.
here. Yeah.
It's all here. So I would just bring like good vibes. That's really important. Just bring your good vibes, because everybody here is like nice and relaxed. So if you bring that attitude around the things, you can find them here. You
Yeah.
don't need to be prepared.
I came with one suitcase, you know, I think it was 22.9999 kilos, because you know that 23 kilo maximum, and everything else I bought secondhand. So we had a massive secondhand
Yes.
chains here in Stockholm, and it's a
And
great
they are
price for
amazing.
students.
Yeah, I mean, they have great secondhand stores here as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Thank you, Kjartan, Eudoxia, and Niklas for the presentation. And thank you to everyone who is watching and submitting questions. This is all we have time for today. But you can follow our international student blog and contact the student ambassador for the ABE school. Or if you have questions for the staff, you can email masterprogram@abe.kth.se for more general questions.
all right.
Thank you for watching. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.